you've never seen a clean, from the floor, catch, and then the last one's a jerk, above the head, and then those constitute your 3 Olympic lifts, right? The snatch, the clean, and the jerk. Don't know what happened to the first guy, why I had to make the jerk, but it did. So, we're going to go over snatch today. And basically the way we learn the snatch is going to be very, very similar to how we learn the clean. We won't even end up adding weight to the bar. We're just going to do an empty bar for all this, which is great, but your shoulders may get a little sore, okay? So, we're going to go through a couple things. We're going to require just open up, just a little bit of warm up like we've done the past couple weeks. That way, we're not just like doing this cold. Because it's a little colder than here today, which is really nice. I'm a big fan. So, before you do that, just because I'm going to reference this, I might have to think of a different way to explain this. Has everybody seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Really long time, like the old one? Yeah? No? Like Grandpa George or whatever it is that doesn't get out of bed until he like gets a golden ticket. Like, man, what a jerk. Guy doesn't do anything for a living. He gets to go to the factory. Anyway, I'm going to reference that later if y'all actually know what that is. Everybody knows what that is? Cool. That is going to make my life so much easier. So, we're just going to go over 3 simple things real quick. Very similar to what we've done in the past couple weeks just to warm up the shoulders, because obviously with the snatch, we're going to go overhead. We're going to use our legs, and then we're going to kind of do full body a little bit here. So, first one, we've done the swimmer, where we were down on the floor, and we went out, and we reached up behind. Well, today, I want you to get your shoulder blades moving a little bit differently. So you're going to be considered a diver. So you're just going to start with your hands out, and you're going to try to push your belly into the floor. You're going to bring your shoulders back, elbows close, and you're going to try to reach back. Then you're just going to bring up, dive. Okay? You're going to do 8 of those. Alright? We're going to revisit a little bit of our 90-90 position. I think we actually did this one already, which is good, because then it should make this a little bit more efficient. We're going to get in this 90-90 position. We're going to push one leg into the ground. You're going to keep this knee bent. You're going to pick that leg up. Basically try to hover your foot an inch off the ground. Set it right down next to your foot and then reach it as far back as you can. Okay? We're going to do 8 on each leg with that. Alright? The last thing we're going to do is we're just going to go here to all 4s, which we consider a bird dog. Some of you may have done this before. But we're going to get in this tabletop position. All you're going to do is basically touch your knee with your hand. You're going to go thumb up and foot back. Don't arch your back to get to this position. Keep everything nice and long. Bring it back. You're just going to do 8 per side of that. Alright, so everything's 8s. We're going to go through each of those things 3 times. So you have the diver reaching up, bring close, land in the belly. Then we have that little rotation of your hip, 8 on each leg. And then we have that bird dog, 8 on each side. It's opposite arm, opposite leg. We're going to do that 3 times. For those of you that walked in late, you catch this bar overhead. So we're going to break this down basically into about 4 to 5 stages. Now, the tough thing is this. Some of you might not have the strength to actually catch it overhead. So we're going to go through our first stage, and then we'll go through the second stage and the third stage. For some of you, you're just going to stop there. Alright? And you're just going to take reps and reps and reps at those 3 stages. Alright? When we look at this movement, I didn't bring the velocity tracker to show you, but we could really develop a lot of power with this exercise. So, if you ever see power cleans in a program, it's likely because you're trying to develop the quality of power. So, this is a very fast movement, and a lot of it comes from this position that we call a power position, or what I like to call Oompa, right? That's why I asked her, let's see Charlie the Chocolate Factory or Willy Wonka, right? Oompa, loompa, oompa-dee, doo, right? So we can take anybody, we can take Latch, who comes in here in flip-flops, and you know, probably looks like he's really only had that an hour of sleep every night for the last like 10 years of his life. right? I can load 600 pounds up on a bar and put Latch in this position and his flip flops with like no warm up, and Latch could probably just stand up with it. Just in this little position, right? A lot of times, if we were to look at when you jump, if we were to look at when you sprint, at some point you basically get into these angles, right? Where there's a little bit of flexion at your hip, a little bit of flexion at your knee, a little bit of dorsiflexion at your ankle, and then you reverse it and extend them all, okay? So we're gonna start with our snatch there. Now, with this movement, we're gonna try to get in that position right off the bat. So we're gonna use what we consider a wide grip. So if you ever hear the term snatch grip, people are often referring to a wide grip. What that looks like, if we take the bar, and if we were to bring a foot up, right? So if we just sit there and bring a foot up and pinch, we're just widening our hands out evenly to where it sits in that position where we put our foot down. The other way you can do it, there's a bone in your body, it's where your pelvis connects, called the pubic symphysis, right? It's that little bone that's like right there at the bottom of your pelvis. You can put that bar right against that bone and then just widen your hands out until your arms are straight there. For some of you, you might have to sneak it in just a little bit. For others, you might have to widen it out a little bit, okay? All we're gonna do, this first thing, and we're basically gonna make you do 3 sets of 10 of this exercise, all right? You're just gonna go into a little position. All you're gonna do from that position is just jump and shrug. So you're gonna jump and just shrug your shoulders. Here, right? Now notice this little Oompa Loompa, I sit straight down between my heels, all right? I'm not bent over, we'll get to that. Just like in this little position, it's really just Oompa Loompa. You just shrug. Dip, shrug. Dip, shrug. All we're trying to do is drive the bar with the hips. And it's almost kind of squeeze your butt in the bar a little bit. Shrug. That's all you're going to do. Alright? So what I want you to do, find a partner or a group of partners. Literally just bar, find a grip, dip, jump and shrug. It's not a very big movement. You're just going to do 3 sets of 10. Go. Add one component. Alright? So for some of you, for those of you that have shoulder issues, this will be the farthest we end up going close to overhead. Right? For some of you baseball players, right, we're not going overhead. Softball, same thing. Just because y'all are in season, I don't need y'all to jack your shoulders up any more than I already get. So we have our wide grip. My arms here are just ropes. Okay? They just kind of relax, my shoulders are back. We're just getting in this little dip position again. Now you're going to jump and shrug, and then basically what I like to tell people is take your shirt off. It sounds kind of funny. We're going to dip, shrug, take your shirt off. It's almost like you're trying to hit yourself in the chin a little bit. Dip, jump, shrug, shrug. Now notice that bar kind of floats. My arms are just there to guide it. Dip, jump, shrug. Elbows just stay nice and high. Okay? All from the hips. Right? Now notice you kind of hear the rattling there of the bar. It's just that weightlessness motion. Same position now. For some of you, we started getting here in this position, big chest. I get in this position right here, it's like this, I don't even really know how to describe it other than just that oompa, oompa, oompa tea. You don't see the Oompa Loompas like oompa, loompa. They're not compressed, right? They're orange, they're happy, they're all filled with chocolate, right? Oompa, loompa. Dip, jump, shrug, take your shirt off. Give me until like 2 sets of 10. You're gonna learn what keeping the bar close feels like. If it makes you feel any better, there's gonna be, this is a great teaching moment just because I was the guy that tried to learn this by looking down and watching the bar. So if you hit yourself in the chest, sometimes you might hit yourself in the chin. When we look at head position, especially now as we start to add to this and we start to lower the bar to the floor, look forward. Because you don't want to be the guy like me where I looked down and tried to learn how to do this while looking down, the bar came up and nailed me in the forehead and I had to hit you in the middle of my forehead for 8 weeks. So it was a really weird experience to walk over to the person in that rec center and be like, hey, you have a Band-Aid as there's blood trickling down your forehead, right? It's not fun. So look forward on these. If you look down at it, that's where all of a sudden you're going to put the bar inside this position. We're going to hit yourself in the chest. You might hit yourself in the chin. Look forward. Okay? Now we're going to add to it. So you might not feel like you have that much power right there from that little loop position. Sometimes we have to add a little bit of momentum. So we talked about our hinge back when we talked about deadlifting, right, where we get in this position here. So this is going to be the really tricky part. This is where people have the most problems, and this is where things kind of go wrong, right? So if we were to look at basically 3 stages of the snatch or the clean, down on the floor would be 1, at my knees would be 2, and this little guy right here where we've been at is 3. So we're kind of going 3, 2, 1 right here. Well, if I put 2 and 3 together, what do I get? It's a trick question. Put 2 and 3 together, what do we get? You say 5? Anybody else say anything differently? No? If I put 2 and 3 together, what do I get? Who said 23? 23, right? Who wears number 23? Michael Jordan, thank you. See, the ladies know more sports than the guys do. This is embarrassing, right? Michael Jordan wears number 23. Where's number 23? What does Michael Jordan do? He wins championships. All right? Everything we do here, if we don't get 2 and 3 right, if we don't get 2 and 3 right, then everything else goes wrong. Okay? So this is what I like to call Michael Jordan drill, just because if you can get this, 99% of the time, everything else starts to fix itself. Okay? So all you're going to do, and this is going to be the weird one because you're going to think about your little hip hinge in a little bit of a different way. You're going to start in that Oompa Loompa position. So shoulders are back, back is straight up and down. Right here, the weight's in the middle of my foot. And now what we're going to do is you're going to bring your knees back and out of the way and lower the bar right in front of your knees. So I'm not going to go squatting where my shoulders are behind. I'm going to bring my knees back and out of the way, right? So see how they start to move outwards a little bit. So right here, I'm kind of back outside of my heel, right? Now, I don't want to look down because what's going to happen? My shoulders are going to round right there, and then when I go, I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to nail myself in the face or the nose or something, all right? Get that dip, pull the knees back and out of the way, and then all we're going to do is just come right back to the dip. So we're going to take that weight into our heels. We're just going to look forward. Bring it right back to the hip. Oompa Loompa. Knees back out of the way. Oompa Loompa. So notice how that bar moves. It doesn't move. Can you come stand right here at the end of the bar? I just want you to stand right in front of me. Like right there. Right? If you watch this bar in relation to Anna Helen here, it doesn't move. It doesn't go forward. So if I go forward, I'm going to hit it. Right? Everything stays there, and even if you were to extend, oh, she you got the elbow out there, didn't you? No, really? I'm not as good at this as I thought I was. Right? We should be able to get it pretty close to where it wouldn't hit her. Right? Knees back and out of the way. I don't want to bend my knees. Right? Bring it right back in. Thank you. Yes, we got some now. We're not going to go stand in front of somebody. I had something go very wrong with somebody doing it all the time. So maybe I stood in front of somebody else and they nailed me. So it wasn't a good day. So all you're going to do, that little Michael Jordan drill, right? Dip. Knees back and out of the way. Come right back up. Partner, somebody in your group, just watch from the side. That way you can kind of give them that cue, kind of help them out. Kind of tell them if that bar is moving forward. Their shoulders should stay right over the bar, maybe a little bit in front, right there. Dip, knees back and out of the way, right back. Who you talk to, all right? So for some of you, right, like I said, you baseball players, softball players, this is where you get to stop today, right? And you're still going to participate because I want you to master this pattern because this is where you develop power. If you want to go overhead, be my guest, right? But I'm not going to make you. When we get to this position, all we're doing, now notice I've called him out on it, right? So when we're in this position, the weight's in the middle of the foot, right? So that way when I lower down, I shift the weight into my heels, and now I shift back to ball my foot, extend, carry the bar upward, right? Take your shirt off. So dip, lower down, reach the hips, knees back, and extend. All right, dip, knees back out of the way, extend. All right, start with it slow, and then each rep make it a little bit faster. How you get the feel of it. It is a fast movement, it is explosive. Do 2 to 3 sets of 5. You're not going to go overhead on this, right? The big thing to start thinking about is keeping it close to your body. All right, so when we look at this movement, the closer it stays to you, the less opportunity you have for getting hurt, right? And that's why we put all these movements at the end, because we had to learn how to hinge. We had to learn what your lats do, right? When we talk about your lats, they have to extend your shoulders, okay? So now, for those of you that aren't going to go overhead, and for those of you that are, right? So think about starting to keep this bar close by sweeping the bar up your legs with your lats. It sounds kind of weird, but it's also going to try to break the bar against your body. So if I let my lats be super loose, I start to get to this position here. So I want to sweep them back, but it's also going to ride up my legs. All right?
Notice the difference.
So we're breaking the bar across the body. So we dip, knees back and out of the way. We're literally using those lats to actively keep it close to the body. All right? Now we're going to add in what we consider a catch, what we'll call punch. Okay? So we're going to get in that position, and you're going to dip. You're going to bring those knees back and out of the way. You're going to go and you're going to explode. It's going to come up, and you're going to punch yourself under the bar. Okay? So notice that stays very close. It's going to have to happen faster than just what I just demonstrated. So it's going to have to be dip, knees back and out of the way, back, jump, punch. Alright? If you really start to use your hips, especially, has everyone ever like seen an armadillo when they get scared? Right? They punch up and they kind of curl in a ball. Anybody from Texas? No? Huh? Savannah has them, right? You ever drive through Texas and see a bunch of dead armadillos on the side of the road? Because when they get scared and they see a car coming, they jump up and they throw a ball and they get hit by the front bumper. They literally just jump into a ball and get hit. Right? So the same thing will happen if you really extend quickly. Your body's going to naturally help you recoil to punch. Okay? So, dip, lower that bar, right? I'm using my lats to keep it close to my body, extend, punch. In full speed it looks something like this. Punch. Okay? Dip, knees back and out of the way, up, punch. Give me like 3 sets of 3. So everything we do from the floor is just to get to that same position of the knee. That's all we're looking at. Now, when we look at this movement, where are my athletes that have done the power cleans with your team before? Raise your hand. You've done power cleans with your team, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. No? No? Okay. Yes. Okay, so you've done power cleans with your team. They tell you to push through your heels?
I'm just like on top of my team.
Okay. They tell you to push through your heels?
I do. My dad tells me
to push through your heels? Were you taught originally to push through your heels?
Yeah.
Not really.
No? Yeah? Right? So about 50%, right, at least know that they were taught through the heels. It's bull crap. But it's because when we look at it, right, where does our weight have to be when we're at our knees? It's in our heels. And when we go to extend, it needs to be right about the middle of the foot, so we extend it up onto the toes. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the weight right behind the ball of the foot. So I'm going to get lined up with the bar, you might have to point your feet out a little bit more. So we're talking about deadlifting your feet pretty forward. If you've got longer legs, you're going to need to be more out. Okay? We're going to find that grip now from the floor. And so you get in this position, and you're going to have to get a little bit more squatty with this, right? But deadlift, we were here. Now I'm going to squat down a little bit more. So my shoulder's going to be directly over the bar. You have that grip. And we're going to push through right behind the ball of our foot, right? So if you think about your heel being 0 and your toe being 100, we're going to go about 60, right? If this is 0% and 100%, we're going to 60%. So it's right behind the ball of your foot. And so we're going to get lined up. You're going to point your toes out a little bit more.
It's a really good cue.
You're going to try to basically keep your chest up the whole time. So you get in this position, you're going to push right behind the ball of your foot, and you're going to shift the weight from 60 to 20. So notice that bar stays in the exact same position. Okay? We're not shifting it forward. We don't want to be here and pushing it out and leaning back. We push through the ball of the foot, knees are going to come back and out of the way. What's the same as this position, right? This position is the same as this position, right? We're just meeting halfway there. So now, up, knees come back and out of the way, jump and punch. That's the snatch. It's the full thing right there. All right? In this position, it's going to be kind of weird. Just getting into that bottom position can get a little tricky. There's 2 ways you can get there. You can go like a deadlift and then actively think pulling your hips down into the bar. Right? So I bring my hips almost into a squat. You can also grab it. Now notice that bar is right over the middle of my foot. You can also grab it and sink down into a squat and then lean back up in that position. It's not a squat because I'm going to squat our chest to be more upright, but it's not a deadlift because we're squatted a little bit more. Okay? Here's what I want you to do. You're going to break this into 2 parts. You're going to do it to your knee, and then you're going to set it down. If we can go to the high pull, go to the high pull, right? And so then you just do the next phase, okay? So we go to the knee, and put it back down. Then we go to the high pull, and then we're going to put it back down. And then if you can go overhead, okay? That whole thing right there, right? To the knee, and then to the high pull, and then to overhead. That's what we're at. I want you to give me 2 to 3 sets of 1 to 3 reps.